Yeah. We've been talking all off season for months leading up to watch the 49ers play in the preseason game. That happened. I know you've heard everybody else's thoughts on the preseason game, how it went for everyone. We're going to get into my thoughts, some of the things that you can hear on Locked On 49ers, but a lot that you can only hear here. And of course, we're going to make sure that we get all of you, the listeners, the fans, the people in the chat on live right here on the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked up by Aaron Crocker over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
The Crock Talk TV podcast. Peace.
Welcome to another episode of the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL Eric Crocker, and my bad, I got food in my mouth. Appreciate everybody for tuning in on kind of this late showing, and I saw somebody in the chat already say, man, this late start time, it sucks. Listen, I get it, but I got to get to the money. Got to train my athletes. This will be the last week of that because starting next week, they'll be back in school. So you don't got to worry about it next week. But this week, I just got to move some things around a little bit. And the morning show just had to start a little bit later. I want to check on everybody, see how everybody's doing. Let me know how you feeling in the chat. Here we go. We got the flames going up. 5 flames if you're feeling great. Anything less than that, we need to talk about it. Let's go. 2 flames or 1 flame and some popcorn. Okay. 5 flames here. Brian J, 5 flames. Everybody feeling good. Let's go. 5 flames. I saw my mama in the chat. Good morning, mama. See my mama. I know on the West Coast it's still early. I know my mom already got her workout in and everything. Shout out to my maker, my mama. All right. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat, everybody that still is tuning into this kind of later start time. And shout out to Homage, man. Hey, Homage got me this Deebo Samuel shirt. Hold on, man. Look at that, man. Look at that. Vintage Deebo Samuel shirt. Shout out to Homage for the t-shirt. Y'all see it. So if y'all want this shirt, man, y'all going to have to go over to Homage. Check out their Instagram, their Twitter account, all that good stuff. Go to their Twitter. Their Twitter account is @Homage. All right, so you guys can get some of these vintage shirts as well. Vintage style shirts. Let's go. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat. Of course, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're going to talk about all things 49ers and kind of what's going on with them. One second, y'all. Got a brief little, hold on. Got a little thing I got to deal with real quick. I got an athlete. 1 second. How do I do this? Boom. All right, here we go. We are back. Here we go. San Francisco 49ers, they won their first preseason game against the Green Bay Packers, 28-21. 49ers pulled it off. Let's talk about some of the details. I know everybody wants to get into Trey Lance, how he looked. We will talk about that, but I have some other notes that I wanted to discuss first. All right, some things that I kind of noticed in the second watch through. I know everybody kind of focuses on certain things, and then it kind of is what it is. And when you're watching it live, there are a lot of things that typically you miss. I know when I'm watching it live, there are a lot of things that I miss live. So then I like the second watch through to be able to kind of rewind and look at things and be like, I didn't really notice that on the first time around. So let's talk about some things, and then we'll get into Trey Lance and his performance, what I saw, what I was expecting, and what I thought he did well or obviously needs to continue to improve on. first thing I noticed on my rewatch, the very first third down, right? Because if everybody remembers when the Packers came out, there was a 3-and-out. And during that first 3-and-out, people don't remember this, but who was in coverage on that receiver? All right, might have been a tight end, might have been a receiver, but I believe it was a receiver. He ran a corner route on Tarvarius Moore. I know everybody's going to point to Tarvarius Moore, and he got beat for the touchdown. It's like, he can't cover, he sucks, etc. But just on the drive before that, the very drive right previous to the touchdown that he gave up, they attacked him on a third down from the slot as well, and his coverage was perfect. So an NFL team, they're probably going to look at it from the standpoint, 49ers and their coaching staff, looking at Tarvarius Moore, saying, okay, well, he did great this time, and there are probably other reps that went unnoticed where he had great coverage, but the one time he did get beat, he got beat for a touchdown. So everybody's going to notice that, and I'm not saying you overlook that. You definitely want to see, what type of positions or situations you can either put him in or areas where it's like, you know what, hey, you can improve on this by doing this, which I think he really could improve on getting beat by, or not getting beat by moving his feet. To me, that was the first thing that I noticed. He wasn't moving his feet. So that was tough. But if he can move his feet, slide, mirror the guy, and open up and get ready to run, maybe he doesn't just get beat out the gate for a touchdown. So terrific job by Tarvarius Moore defending the pass on third down on the first drive. Obviously, definitely could improve on the second drive. And then there were a couple other things where I noticed with Tarvarius Moore where I'm like, head coach probably going to knock that. All right. There was a read option where him and Jordan Willis both crashed down. Again, I don't know who was responsible for crashing down, but one of those guys was right, one of those guys were wrong. It's really hard to know exactly who. If I had to guess, the DN crashed down, and Moore is the one that's supposed to feel for to keep the quarterback, and he crashed down with the edge rusher, and they ended up both being wrong. So that's definitely something where his coaches probably took note of that, and I'm looking forward to seeing like how does he improve on that moving forward, right? Do you go into the Vikings game and see Tarvarius Moore out there and him still bite on the read option keeper and the quarterback get outside? If that's the case, then which you probably won't see from either Kirk Cousins or Sean Merriman or Minion, whatever his name is. But either way, that's something to look out for. All right. Other things that I noticed right away, there's been this, Dennard, Darquise Dennard. He's been the starting nickelback for the San Francisco 49ers. And I know we watched the young guy go out there and make tons of plays. And that was really good to see the nickel, Samuel Womack had the 2 interceptions, which were really great plays by Samuel Womack. And those weren't just like gimmies, right? Like those wasn't a ball was popped in the air and he ends up intercepting it. Or, oh man, the quarterback just threw it so bad and he picks it off. Like he went out there and made the plays both times. That's what you want to see when you're a coach, like your guy going out of his way to make plays, because that's something that's been lacking a little bit when it comes to 49ers secondary, really for some years now. Like who's actually making the plays? Because you can justify guys not getting a lot of interceptions, but when you see a guy that goes out of his way to really make the play, I thought that's what Samuel Womack did a terrific job of. But Samuel Womack, in the sense of kind of where he's at with the starting lineup, he was a reserve that game, and Dennard was the starter. Now, one thing I want to see heading into this week, do they start to kind of rotate Womack in a little more? I've heard that he's gotten some first team snaps, but everything I've seen, even when I was at training camp, Samuel Womack, he was a reserve. Dennard was the guy who started. Dennard ended up starting the game, and he played the entire first quarter. So are they going to start to kind of move away from that and rotate the young guy in, and eventually maybe the young guy earning a spot? That's something to definitely keep an eye out on. All right. Other things I noticed, the starting cornerbacks in that game were Holman and Ambry Thomas. So obviously the starting corners are out, right? Emmanuel Mosley, Travarius Ward, those guys are out at the moment right now. But moving forward, just kind of looking at the pecking order and how, who's going to be the 5 or 6 cornerbacks that end up making this roster, is very interesting to see Holman getting the start over a guy like Diamo Lenore. Or as his sister, she's been getting on me about it, but Diamo Lenore. All right. And I thought the reports were saying that Lenore was the first guy up with the first group. But again, you get into the game, Ambry Thomas is up and Hallman. So that was something to keep an eye on. And also with Hallman, he plays multiple positions. He not only plays outside, he also plays in the nickel as well. He played in the nickel later in that game. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, where they have guys playing who they think is just a little bit more versatile. That's definitely something to continue to keep an eye on. I did notice something right away with the receivers as well. With the very first group that went in there, it was Jauan Jennings, and this is in their like 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end. It was Jauan Jennings and Malik Turner, right? And again, we're trying to figure out like who's going to be that 6th receiver for the 49ers, or who's going to be the 5th and 6th, right? And Malik Turner was out there, first play of the game with Jauan Jennings, and he continued to be kind of that outside guy, whether it was the Z or the X, but he was one of the 2 receivers to start. And then one thing that really kind of stood out to me as well on a rewatch, I think everyone has pegged Jauan Jennings as the starting slot receiver for the 49ers, kind of been that big slot. You know, he can block, you know, he can do those things. Well, in this game, it was not Jauan Jennings playing in the slot. He played exclusively outside, but it was Ray McCloud. Ray McCloud played in the slot. So I was curious to see, would Ray McCloud start to get a little bit more reps than Jauan Jennings in the slot, maybe on specific passing downs, because on downs where they can either run or pass, maybe they want the threat of, or to be able to utilize Jauan Jennings as a run blocker. But that was definitely something that I was looking for right there, and I got to see that Ray McCloud. And again, we saw him line up on the outside and score a touchdown. And he can do that. Very curious because his usage over the last few years with the Buffalo Bills, Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, we're talking about less than 7 yards per reception for his career, which is wild, especially for a guy who you've seen him all training camp be able to make plays down the field, be able to make plays underneath, and can he win the starting slot receiver spot for the 49ers to where you have Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel on the outside with Ray McCloud in the slot. That's definitely something right there that was very curious when I was watching the game back. I don't even know if Jauan Jennings took a snap from the slot. So that was very, very interesting. Very interesting. All right, I'll get to some of the things in the chat. I've been seeing the chat go up, and I try not to look at it too much because it'll throw my concentration off. So if y'all hear me like start to stutter or lose my train of thought, it's probably because I glanced at the chat for a second. But I'll look at some of the questions in here before I get into some of my thoughts on our guy Trey Lance. All right, so I see somebody say, "Are we frozen?" No, you're not frozen. I saw the chat. I can't look at the chat while I'm talking, or I'll lose my train of thought, or I'll start answering that before I finish my thought, and then I'll lose my train of thought. So, the MJC chair in the back is fired. Let's go. You already know. MJC, that's my alum. All right, let's get to some of these questions here. I wish we could have done a breakdown of Womack's college tape. Too bad he didn't have any. He really didn't, Brian. Like, I looked up some, and I mean, I couldn't find anything in the All 22 that I have on my Google Drive. So then I went to YouTube to see if I could find anything. And there was like maybe 1 or 2 games where I was able to find. And it wasn't even really like the DBs. It was a cut up more centered around the offensive defensive lineman in that game. And I had to try to piece together what Womack was, but I really couldn't really come away with anything. Womack denying the inside release, then stick on his hip was a thing of beauty. It really was, Mike. Like, that was one of the things that really jumped out to me. Really on both times, what he did was kind of wall the receiver off, and he did something what I like to say, take away something, running something. So he took away the inside route with his body presence, and it was like, all right, I'm ready and anticipating the outbreaking route, and I'm going to get to him. And he had really good eyes, especially on both of them. He had great eyes. To where he drove the man first and then he's got his eyes back to the quarterback to be able to make a play. That was terrific. Jimmy Ward hamstring injury. Again, that may be something that happened. Here we go. Kyle Shanahan said Jimmy Ward suffered a fairly significant hamstring strain and that his week 1 availability is in doubt. Oh, no. That's not good. You probably need Jimmy Ward out there. He's what makes everything go. And shout out to Jimmy Ward making the top 100 list for all the players. But, yeah, the hamstring thing is interesting because I've always felt like soft tissue injuries were like a lack of kind of preparation in the offseason, whether it's your the way you're training, working to – a lot of it is your off-season stuff. So he's kind of dealt with these things before, and I wonder if it has something to do with his preparation since of really like getting his body prepared and ramped up for a rigorous training camp. But, yeah, it's not ideal for Jimmy Ward to be hurt and pull a hammy. Not good. Not good. All these injuries again. Yes and no. One of the good things I'd say about some of these injuries with the 49ers that we've seen so far is like they'll be back, right? So with Travarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, like those guys will be back week 1. Now, obviously, Jimmy Ward, his is a little bit more in doubt, and I don't know the extent of this injury, but when you hear Kyle Shanahan say, yeah, week 1, little in doubt, that's a little bit more interesting. But yeah, man, like I wouldn't worry about. I think right now the 49ers are in a really good spot as far as quote unquote injuries go. There hasn't been anything too significant. Let me knock on wood. All right. There hasn't been anything too significant with the injuries the 49ers have. So I wouldn't be like, oh, all these injuries, because unless you're talking about guys that are going to be out, they're going to miss 6 weeks in the season or like a full year, right? Then I would be a little worried. But right now, again, as it stands, 49ers are fairly healthy. I'd say after going through an entire kind of, training camp and all that heading into preseason, the 49ers are as healthy as you could hope without any like significant or major injuries. But yeah, the soft tissue injuries, that's the thing that, and again, I don't know if it's a 49er thing, because you got to remember these guys, they leave and they go home, right? And over that month and a half or a month or so, what are they doing to prepare their body for training camp? OTAs prepares you to get ready to be able to ramp up big time during that off time and get ready for training camp, right? But if you show up to training camp and you haven't really been training, you haven't really been pushing yourself to get ready for being practicing 4 days on, 1 day off, 4 days on, 1 day off, 4 days on, 1 day off. Like, that's tough. And if you haven't prepared like that during the offseason, then yeah, an injury can happen. And that's more, a little bit more on the player than the organization, in my opinion, which is how you prepare. All right, anyways, let's go. We got 260 of y'all in here. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. Let's talk about Trey Lance and kind of what we saw from him. And, I don't know. Y'all can let me know if it was what you were expecting or not expecting, or were you shocked or anything like that. But to me, just kind of looking at how his progression has gone during training camp, I didn't see anything that I was like blown away by. Obviously, you see the throw down the field, and it was a really good ball over the outside shoulder of the receiver. He threw it to where even if the receiver wasn't open by 4 yards or however much Danny Gray beat the defensive back by, it still would have went over that outside shoulder and give his receiver a great chance to fade to the ball and catch it. So it's a really good thrown ball, especially standing tall in the pocket, didn't drop his eyes at all. Because if he would have, and he would have like maybe hitched for a half a second longer, maybe he would have ended up having to scramble and whatnot. So that part was really good. The accuracy on that, terrific. Obviously, we saw some of his other throws in. I know Trey Lance ended up completing 4 out of 5 of his passes. And for almost 100 yards, touchdown. It was like 158.3 passer rating, which is as good of a passer rating as you can get. Like, you literally cannot do any better. That was awesome. But we did see some off-target throws. So you start with the one in the flat to Raj Dwelly. Like, that was off-target, right? Raj Dwelly had to leap up, make a catch. One thing with Trey Lance, and again, I wasn't surprised by the throw, or I wasn't like, oh my gosh, you got to throw that better. Well, like that's just kind of going to be him right now. There's going to be throws like that where he just misses, or throws that are a little off. I don't think you're going to see the next step in the progression with that until after this upcoming offseason. So if you want him to be a little bit more pinpoint accurate, I would say that's the next step in this progression, but I don't think you're going to really see that throughout this year. What are you going to see? A guy who can make plays on the move, a guy who can create the explosive plays, a guy who can, at the very least, get the ball in the vicinity of guys. And one thing that I was really happy with what I saw for Trey Lance is just knowing where to go with the ball. Now, again, knowing where to go with the ball, that's one thing. Delivering a good, on-target, accurate ball, that's another thing. And again, when it comes to development, I believe that's just the next step. But right now, I was encouraged by what I saw, not because I don't think that he can get better, but just because I know with what you get from him right now, even when the throw that might be high or so, whatever, you can still win. You can still win with that. And again, obviously, like, you got the explosive play. They're going to take their shots. But if he gives you that, and not even the explosive play, even if he ends up throwing a dig and that ends up being a big play or whatever, or let's say Ross Dwelly drops that ball, even if a drop by Ross Dwelly on a 2-yard pass, because it's high. There's going to be some throws like that, but I still think with how he's able to play, you're going to win. You're going to win. So I definitely saw clear areas of where I want to see him continue to improve, but I'm not expecting that big jump in accuracy just this year. I expect to see some misses. And we saw that a little bit late on the out to Danny Gray. Danny Gray made a nice leaping catch. Wasn't able to get both feet in bounds. A little late, a little high, a little outside. I'd say you would rather him miss there than inside, where it could potentially be picked off and taken to the crib. But ideally, you want him to hit that guy out of his break and throw it. So from the offensive standpoint of what Kyle Shanahan is looking for from his quarterback, he knows where to go with the ball. Now it's just better timing, a little bit more accurate. I think the timing can continue to improve this year. The accuracy, I think that's going to be something that improves after the following offseason. That's going to be something that improves in. Here we go. We got almost 300 of y'all in here. If there's anything else y'all want to talk about with those things, feel free. Come on live right here. Let me put that in the chat. Come on live. Y'all come on. Talk about it. Boom. And here you go. I'll go through the chat, see what everybody's talking about. I remember the chat wanted Kellen Mond. I think there were people that wanted Kellen Mond. I don't think it was the chat. I don't think it was this chat. There were people that liked Kellen Mond, but not this chat. Yo, Crock, is your gamer tag Poetic Crock Star? If so, I saw you playing TD Bear. No, that's not. That ain't me, dog. That ain't me. Here we go. I got my bruh. Here we go, Mr. Roscoe's. What's good, Chris?
Hey, do I sound cool? Because I'm using my other phone.
Yeah, nah, you're good.
Okay, cool. You hear about Jimmy Ward, right?
Yeah, I just touched on it a little bit. Has a hamstring injury. Sounds like he won't be ready for week 1. That's what it sounds like.
Which is not a problem, in my opinion, not a problem because it's the Bears, and then Seattle. It's not like a major concern in my opinion.
Yeah, well, the 49ers so far right now, they've done good with injuries for the most part. So if the one injury you're like the most concerned about that has happened so far is Jimmy Ward might not be ready for week 1, I think you're in a good place.
Exactly, yeah. But anyways, let's get to the real Trey Lance. I mean, I wish your boy Donald was it Butler? What's his name? I wish he was on here. Mr. Trey Lance not ready. Mike Tannenbaum called Jimmy Garoppolo a great quarterback. Mike Tannenbaum said that. He said,
yeah, so wait, real quick, you're talking about Darius Butler, but go ahead.
There you go. Yeah, Darius Butler. You see, I forget his name. Well, anyways, Mike Tannenbaum said Jimmy Garoppolo was a great quarterback, and the 49ers need to stick with Jimmy Garoppolo. And then let me measure my expectations. Look, it was a nice throw by Trey Lance, but that's all it was. It was a nice throw in a preseason game. And at the end of the day, that game didn't matter. Shout out to them strawberry pop tarts. It was top 10. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to go. I don't want to overreact and be like, oh, the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl. Or Trey Lance is about to throw 40 touchdowns in the season. No, it was a great pass. I loved it. I thought he played extremely well. But again, this is preseason. I think we all needed to see that though. I think he needed to see that because as Brian Greasy said in the practice, he needed Trey Lance to get some wins. Because I mean he's going against a vaunted defense and he hasn't had too many wins in practice. So Trey Lance needed some positive, good reps, and he needed this and they needed to see him win. And so I was happy about that. Again, again, I'm not saying, Trey Lance is gonna be an all pro bowl player or anything like that. But if he can just be good on third downs, if he can make, nice passes like that throughout the game, be a game manager, but still, make nice passes, extend the play like we seen him do with his legs. I mean, all the things that we all talked about that we said he has in his skill set, he kind of showed in 2 series. So my expectations going forward again is just get us to the playoffs. And then when we get into the playoffs, anything can happen. I'm not saying we're going to go deep in the playoffs. I'm not saying we're going – just get us to the playoffs, Trey. That's all I need. And this defense and this running game is going to do a lot to carry you there. So just don't mess up Jimmy Garoppolo.
1 second, Chris. You talked about a lot about Trey Lance and some of the things that were positive. What out of that game, if anything, which I know is hard to find something out of a game where the 49ers, they looked pretty good, looked pretty dominant in that game. Was there anything that kind of concerned you at all? And again, I know it's hard to tell when most of the starters aren't really playing, but
I mean, no. Well, Tavarius Moore. I mean, I do give him some grace because it was his first game. But did you touch on him?
yeah, I talked about Tavarius Moore, and I talked about one of the things that people will probably overlook is, we know he gave up that touchdown on third down. They did a zero blitz, and that wasn't, you don't really want to see that. But a lot of people aren't going to talk about the drive before that. He was targeted on third down the field, and he had great coverage, and it was incomplete.
Okay, yeah, no, I wanted to give him some grace just because he hasn't played football in a very long time. That was his first live action since the Super Bowl, right?
Right. Yeah.
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 All the way back in 2020. So
That's crazy.
I think we got to give people some grace. Let him get his feet under him. I mean, I understand you. I know
That can't be it. Hold on. That can't be it. That can't be it. Because
I know 2020 the season was 2020 then.
Yeah, he played. Yeah, he. I'm pretty sure he played 2020.
Yeah, 2020. But still, that's what. It's almost 2 years.
Right.
In a sense. But anyways, I think maybe that because I loved seeing Womack. I personally thought Ambry Thomas played well. I thought he was, and you taught me this. He was around the ball every play, and I thought he was, getting his hands on the ball, but just wasn't finishing. And I something that Akila Witherspoon, struggled with, but I wasn't too, disappointed with Ambry. And I thought and I thought Trey Sermon, I thought he played well. Most of his runs were positives. There's 2 runs that didn't go so well. One of them was, a straight whiff by McGlinchey. And another one, there was really nowhere to run. Maybe he could have hit the hole, but there was a linebacker rating right there. So I don't know. I didn't really see anything concerning. If anything, I seen a lot of positives. And I thought just overall, just how the team played of the defense, especially how violent they played. I was watching Hufunga a lot and how he would just play against the run, just violent against the run. Givens, violent. Kimdichi or however you say his name. Violent. I love the violence that our defense played with. So I don't know, man. I can you did you see any negatives or anything that was concerning?
Maybe if Justin School has to play. I mean, him at right tackle. I think I'm just kind of over that experiment. And
Yeah,
if I had to guess with how well I thought Burford and Aaron Banks played, and I assume those guys continue to play, even with Brendel at the center position. I think I'm okay with Brunskill being the swing tackle. So I don't think we'll have to see Skull, but I don't want to see Skull at right tackle or left tackle or any tackle.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think did McKivitz play? I thought he played well, right?
I don't remember McKivitz, but that's a good thing. If you don't remember a guy just getting whooped on, I'll have to watch it through a third time and see what I look at specifically with the offensive line. I was looking at, on my second watch through, I did look at the offensive line, but I was focused on Burford. Even more so than Aaron Banks. I was focused on Burford and like just what it looked like. And I thought he was good. Even on the one play where Trey Lance kind of climbed in the pocket, reset to see, okay, is there anything downfield for me to throw? Then it's like, okay, not really there. Then he kind of took off for the 9-yard run. I watched Burford on that play, and I guess you could technically say, oh, maybe he was beat, but he stayed on this guy, washed him down, and it made it to where there was a clear lane for Trey Lance, as opposed to some guys like, let's say, School, right? School got beat. It's just, all right, Trey Lance, like, there's this big-ass defensive end right in your face. There's nowhere to go, right? When Burford, if they consider this getting beat, I don't even know if they do, he still walled his guy off and made it to where Lance was able to step up. So there was a lot to really like from him, but I didn't really watch McKivitz.
Aaron Banks, it's early. Again, everything I say, just please don't take it as I am speaking in absolutes or anything like that. But I do remember a lot of people tried to write off Aaron Banks just because he was inactive all through last year. A lot of people tried to call that a failed pick. The Niners messed up on that pick. But it's like, bro, y'all got to allow people to, like I always say, allow rookies to grow. Let him learn. And so far, I mean, it looks like he's going to be a decent, just say decent. It looks like he's going to be a decent guard. You eating, I know that, but so I don't know if you're going to have an opinion on that one.
I know, my bad. I had to mute it. I'm like, damn, I ain't muted. Oh, by the way, it's not a strawberry Pop-Tart. I'm a little more, what do they call it? Not uppity? No, is that the word? Bougie? I'm a little more bougie than that.
Yeah, bougie.
This is a toaster strudel. Come on now, man.
A toaster. Anyway,
What do you mean? Why do you say toaster strudel like that?
Because I mean, I'm old fashioned. I don't.
Like the toaster strudels, they're really elite. Like if we being honest.
I mean, they're all right. They're all right. I like the regular old Pop-Tarts. I'm old fashioned.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. You got to get off that.
I can't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't. You know, you got the s'mores, you got the strawberry, and you got the brown sugar. Those are the elites. And if any of y'all down there don't like that, then I'm blocking all y'all on Twitter. But Crock, can you talk about Aaron Banks? I mean, a lot of people tried to call it a failed pick, bro.
So here's the thing.
And I'm
as much as fans want to talk about like prospects, and I saw someone comment in here when you brought up Aaron Banks, and they basically said like Aaron Banks, like he's regressed, and I don't see any area where I feel like he's regressed. He just kind of looks the same to me. So I guess maybe that is regression because Kyle Shanahan says if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. But I didn't really see anything from Ambry Thomas where it was like, oh man, this guy like he just can't play. Right,
no,
I think
about Aaron Banks.
I know. So to go to Aaron Banks, a lot of people talk about believing in player development. And my thing was, and first of all, just talk about kind of my pre-draft analysis or post-draft analysis of Aaron Banks. I didn't think he was quite a fit for the 49ers. And I wasn't quite sure what they saw when they were telling us about his movement skills and how well he moved for a big guy. And I'm like, that's really not what I'm seeing on the film, like at all. Not at all, right? So when he didn't play last year, I'm like, well, of course. I mean, because I just never saw it as a fit. Now, that does not mean that at some point he won't be good for the 49ers. And I felt like there were certain things that he needed to really do, to take care of himself, to be on the field. And, maybe it was slimming down, getting lighter on his feet, being a little bit more nimble, but still trying to figure out how he can keep his power. And if he went to the offseason and did those things, I thought, yeah, he has a chance to be a good player, because I'll never write off a player being good. I got to see a guy for 2-3 years. Unless it's just like this guy just absolutely can't play. And even then, each offseason, I'll circle back around and see, like, well, has he improved on these certain things, right? So with Aaron Banks, a lot of people just wrote him off. And it's like, dude, like, everybody talks about player development, but then they want to rush these players.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, we get to develop this guy. This is like, boo, he's trash. Like, he's like, damn, man. Like, so Aaron Banks has done a terrific job of putting himself in position to potentially be the starting left guard for the 49ers. And I don't think they saw anything in that preseason game that would move them off of that. If week 1 started today, he'd be the starting left guard for the 49ers. And I think he'd be fine with that.
I think the 49ers had a plan, and they're executing their plan. They've low-key always been about their plan. And a lot of people don't really notice that. A lot of people want the 49ers to do things their way, but the Niners are sticking to their plan that they had a year ago. And I'm going to sign off with that, bro.
All right. Appreciate you coming on. Yeah. One more time, I want to tell everybody about this shirt I got from Homage. Go to their Twitter account at Homage. Right here, got the vintage Deebo Samuel. Y'all see it, man. Got the vintage Deebo Samuel shirt right there. Go to Homage. Go get that shirt right now. Let's go. Tell them Crocky sent you. All right, here we go. I got my guy Swan Song coming on. Swan Song, what's good, man? Good morning.
What's up, Crocker? Good morning. So, news about Jimmy Ward. So I had to dig to see what safeties we could possibly get, because they got to grab someone, right? At least for camp, right? We know that he probably will miss 1 week, but then I thought about that kid that we let go last season. Coach Johnston, he was really high on him. The kid from Alabama, Jared Maben. Yeah, Maben. So then I got into a Eagles site that said, 53-man roster, who's going to make it and who's going to be out. And, I saw Jared Maben on there. And what was surprising was I saw Tart might not make the 53-man roster on the Eagles as well.
Really?
And one of the things the article said was that Tart was on the third team, and then he missed a day or two of practice last week because of, personal reasons. So it might not be going that smooth for him over there. So there's two guys right there that it's plug and play, right? And when I was kind of disappointed that Jared Maben got cut, just because the times I saw him play in the preseason last season, it looked solid. And plus, I took Coach Johnson's word for it as well that, he liked that kid. So it was a little disappointing that he got cut. So one of those two guys, I wouldn't mind. If they brought, I know there was a report that said that perhaps Jaquiski Tart was a cancer in the locker room. I don't know how much you believe that. I don't know. I saw that somewhere. But
I wouldn't say cancer. I don't know. I'm not in there. So, I don't even want to speak on it. I don't know.
Okay, right on. I feel you. But, one of those two guys would be plug and play, because they're going to have to bring a body, right?
Cancer, hold on real quick. Like, a cancer to me is someone who tries to split and divide the locker room. And from everything I've heard, I've never heard that Tart is that.
Yeah, I saw some tweet. Who knows? It could have been just bullshit. But I wasn't sure. I just saw that and whatever. I kind of shrugged it off, but
I saw tweets about people saying he he would say things to the like content creators and give them kind of little things, but not.
Oh, I see. I got you. I see.
Yeah. He never said anything to me, so I don't know.
Right. I see.
Not anything about that. Yeah.
That's not a big deal, in my opinion. But,
Oh, so we got Chris H in the chat. He says, I said a silent cancer. So, yeah.
whoa.
I'd say this. If that's a silent cancer, I think there are players on most teams that might potentially tell somebody a little information on what's going
Yeah.
on in the building, and maybe people can perceive that as
Right.
kind of being a cancer. And I wouldn't quite say that. That's
If
pretty
he has
strong.
if he has the respect of his teammates and his
Yeah, because
coaches,
I'd
that's all
assume
that matters.
if you ask 49er teammates about Jaquiski
Yeah.
Tartt, they probably all love him. So
Right. Like maybe it's a cancer to a PR guy on the 49ers, right? Like,
right.
whatever. But yeah, preseason. Yeah, you guys talked about Lance, and yeah, it looked pretty good. He missed a couple throws. I mean, if Joely isn't Joely, he probably drops. Any other Niner probably drops that pass, right? But at least it's there. I thought he had, he was more confident. It was good seeing him do his pocket magic again, because we've seen that all last season too. Like he has a good feel of the pocket, right? And he's comfortable and confident moving around in it. I thought that one play where he took off to run, that 8 yards, was awesome. He stopped like right before the line of scrimmage and like planted, made the linebackers stay, at home, and then he was able to, get almost a first down with that. I swear, every time it seems like when I see Lance run and he's running, he's always like a half yard short, like to get the first down. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just luck. It just always seems like that, because you saw it on the Arizona Cardinals game was like that too. I was like, how many times are we gonna get like fourth and like a quarter yard? Like what the hell? But yeah. But
that's
yeah,
tough.
so,
At least he slid, and that's what one thing people talked about. And it was definitely funny, and I like that they asked him about that. But it was funny hearing him say, like, that was the first time in my life I've ever slid. He's like, even in baseball, I didn't really slide. He was like, at least not feet first. He was like, in the game throughout high school, college, obviously his short stint as a professional athlete, has never slid in the game. So that was the first time. So and even when you go back and watch it, I think when it happened live, I was kind of shocked to see him slide. I was like, oh, okay, he slid. And then when I rewatch it, I'm like, oh man, that slide needs some work. Like you watch Russell Wilson or like Kyler Murray, and I know Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson both like legit baseball players. Right. Both of those guys like been drafted into the majors. When you watch them slide, it's like almost like this poetic thing where it's just they run and they slide, and as they slide, they're popping up at the same time. They're right back on their feet. And you watch Trey Lance, and there was a little bit of struggle to the slide, but at least he got down, so that's good.
Trey Lance's slide reminded me of like he was getting ready to go on a slip and slide.
You
know what I mean? Like, but it's fine. As I've seen worse. I've seen slides where it looks like the guy's gonna pull ACL or something. So
hey, I do want to ask you, how do you feel about Trey Lance's pocket presence? Because you talked about kind of getting out of there and taking off, but just in the sense of him in the pocket, what did you get a feel for that?
I think it's one of his assets, man. Like I think like what we saw last year too is like he's like. He can kind of like shift around in there. I equate it to like him being, because he was a point guard. I guess he played on ALU and played for his high school and things like that. Like those are point guard skills, right? Like how I see it, like weaving in and out of traffic, sensing players, things like that. Like I think we saw it last year, and we see it again here. And I think that's one of his better attributes.
Right.
So I'm confident.
So what are you looking forward to seeing? Because again, at least I came on here, and if people didn't hear me discuss this and kind of my thoughts on Trey Lance and his performance, and it was a little bit more of what I expected, or it was more of where I thought he was or is right now in his development, is a guy who can create the explosive plays, but a guy that might not be pinpoint accurate at this point in his development. I think if you want him to take that next step from an accuracy standpoint, that'll be probably something that happens next offseason. But right now, I think it's more so on understanding the playbook. It looks like he does, at least what he's given us so far. understanding where to go with the ball. It looks like he knows that. Being able to create the explosive plays, we saw that. Now, again, I think that next step is the accuracy of being pinpoint, and I don't think that's going to happen this year. Do you have similar thoughts, or?
Yeah, I have some. I'm always optimistic on players that I really like, and I'm optimistic with him. Yes, that is definitely a concern, but I rather not think as a fan. I rather just go, okay, just wait and see. I'm still optimistic. I'm not crazily concerned. I just hope that yeah, he's a little bit inaccurate here and there. I think it's inconsistent, right? Because you see him be accurate, right? So I think it comes down to like just locking in his muscle memory. I think that goes hand in hand with him having an overall rhythm of the game as well. Because even though the way he started yesterday or the other day, I felt more confident about it. I still felt like me feeling as a fan. I still feel like he still, of course, needs to calm himself down at the beginning of these games. And the more games that he does these, like he'll start feeling himself, right? Because it seems like he's always been a slow starter, right? So, at least from the time he's been with the Niners. So those are the two things I'm going to watch. When he's going to start games comfortable where I feel like, okay, he's got it. Like I don't have any issues about jitters, right? Because we come week one, that's the one thing I'm going to be looking at. That, and then of course hitting the consistency of his accuracy, because I think he is accurate. I just think he's inconsistent.
Right, and I want to be clear because I have people in the chat and they're like, the accuracy like that'll come, like it's not an issue, and I'm not saying it's like an issue. Again, there was this conversation surrounding Tyreek Hill and what he said about Tua and what he said about Patrick Mahomes, and I think what people like, if you just watch a game of Patrick Mahomes, you will see passes where it is like Ross Dwelly to the flat, where he has to jump for a ball, right, or some weird random miss. Yeah. And you'll see a great ball maybe that he just throws and it's like layered over and it's like, boom, it hits a guy. But if we're talking about like pinpoint accurate, that's something a little different. And that's why when Tyreek Hill is like, hey, this is the most accurate quarterback I've played with talking about Tua. And people like were so up in the arms about it. And it's like, no, like I get what he's saying. Patrick Mahomes can throw to an open receiver. Patrick Mahomes can make great plays. But can Patrick Mahomes consistently put the ball in a spot where a guy can, catch and run and things like that? And that's an area where Patrick Mahomes just might not be great at right now, or maybe never. And that's the same with Trey Lance, where clearly he's throwing the ball to open guys. He can hit them. There are certain times where he's just going to randomly miss. There's certain times where a guy's going to randomly have to jump for a pass that he probably shouldn't have to. But you're also going to see some of the great plays and great throws. So I don't think it's something that will hinder the 49ers from winning this year. It might be something that potentially cost them a game or so. But even then, I think the 49ers are in good hands. So
and that's what we're talking about. It's like if he was a finished product by now, like, of what his ceiling is going to be, then we're talking about like, top 10 quarterback. So, but he's not a finished product. He's developing. So we'll see what happens with that. But those are the two things that I would be looking at as a fan, and optimistic that I think it's inconsistency. Just like when you do anything new and that he's going through a lot right now with mechanics, learning game speed, rhythm, all those things. There's so many variables that him being crazy consistent would be kind of just dreaming if you're a fan, right? You get what I'm saying?
And this might be part of the issue too. My guy, 49er Jauan, and he says it's his throwing motion is not the same every throw. And I heard Chris Sims say this about Trevor Lawrence, where he was like, before you watch Trevor Lawrence throw the football and you see him throw 10 passes and you might see him throw those 10 passes 10 different ways, right? And he says now he's kind of like fixed that and he sees a much more confident, pure thrower of the football. And those are things that just, kind of come with time, reps, working on your technique, things in the offseason. And I'd assume that Trey Lance will continue to work on those things. And next year, that might not be an issue. Then we're talking about a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I think everybody would like that.
And I think what 49ers, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm guessing it's the film that they showed, Trey Lance throwing kind of more sidearm on some of the out patterns. But I think that is, I think a lot of quarterbacks change their arm angle depending on what type of throw that they make. So I think that's a new thing that we've seen with Trey. So like I said, add that to one of the things that he's working on. And of course, you're going to be inconsistent, but it's fine. Like I'm here for it. He's not a robot, right? Like
Right.
you can't just he's a human being. So,
All right, man.
but yeah,
Swan
thanks,
song. Yeah, appreciate you coming on, bro.
thanks, man. Always.
All right, got another caller in real quick. I wanted to get to this comment here, and it says Mahomes trade is becoming trade. It won't happen overnight. I want to make this very clear. When you, or at least me, or some other people I've heard kind of come on my show and when throw a name out, that is not to say that Trey Lance is going to be this guy or that Trey Lance is his development curve is going to be the same as these other guys. It's just kind of using something as an example so you can kind of grasp a little bit of what I'm thinking, but not so much that, oh, well, Trey Lance is just like Patrick Mahomes. Like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. Mahomes is Mahomes. Mahomes is amazing. He's a great quarterback. He does all kind of amazing things. I'm just pointing to one specific thing where when you watch him, you can see certain things where it's a little off. And when it comes to being accurate, right, like in what Tyreek Hill was talking about, if you just watch Patrick Mahomes, you'll see okay, this is what he was talking about. And it doesn't mean that you can't be great or win being that type of quarterback, because clearly it doesn't really matter as much for Patrick Mahomes. So that's all. That's all I was saying. All right, here we go. Okay, somebody asked about the Debo shirt. All right, guys, talk about it one more time. You can go to Homage, go to @Homage on Twitter. They got these shirts right here. You see, it's the Debo Samuel vintage shirt right there. So shout out to my guys from Homage. Go check them out right now. Tell them Crock sent you. All right, yeah. So that's where you can get the shirt right there. They have some other designs as well. And yeah, like Brian J says, don't forget to like the video. Here we go. We got Forgotten Athlete. He's been waiting very patiently. Forgotten Athlete, how you doing? Uh-oh, you got to take yourself off mute. You got to unmute yourself. Disconnected. Uh-oh. Let me kick him from the studio. We'll see when he comes back if he can kind of get right. Here we go. Shout out to everybody and wherever you watching from. We got my guy Ruben Mendez watching from North Carolina. Let's go. I ain't never been to North Carolina, South Carolina, but I do plan on going to the 49ers Panthers game this year. So that'll be my first time going to one of the Carolinas. It's weird because they consider it the South, right? Like South Carolina, North Carolina, they say it's the South. And yeah, I don't know. The South, I'm confused with what is like, what's 100% considered the South. Because where I live, I think if you're talking about like northern Arkansas, I think that's more of like Midwest. Where I live, Southeast Arkansas, like I'm 30 minutes from Louisiana, 30 minutes from Mississippi. Like I'm in the South. But you got like North Carolina. It's like I hear North Carolina, South Carolina is the South. But yeah, I don't know. What's considered the South? Like if you ask Southern people, what is considered the South? Like I don't even know if they would say Texas is the South. Like people from this area. Here we go. Nobody knew Mahomes was him until he played. Yeah, I'd say that. I thought I had a certain take on Patrick Mahomes and him coming out. Let's see if I can show that tweet for y'all. But I had a certain, let's see, Eric Crocker. Let's see, Eric Crocker. Mahomes. Here we go. I don't know. I gotta find the tweet. But there was a tweet that I have out there where I was talking about Patrick Mahomes coming out in that class, and you know there were guys that people like. You had Trubisky, you had Mahomes, you had Deshaun Watson, and I just watched Mahomes and I'm like, this guy is amazing. Why isn't anybody talking about him? And I was like, you know, out of all the quarterbacks, and I think a lot of it had to do with the offense that Patrick Mahomes came from. But I was like, out of all these quarterbacks that are in this class, if it's me, I want the guy with the highest upside, and I thought it was Patrick Mahomes. I have a tweet out there about it. I'll find it while I have these next guys on. Real quick, we'll be bashing your heads. We'll be bashing your heads week 1. Lance ain't it. Oh gosh, this is a Chicago Bears fan. I'm assuming it is, based on the Bears avatar or profile pic. All right, the Ghost of Judah tribe. I hear you. All right. Okay. Bear, like, do you really feel that way? And I'm not even saying just because of Lance. Like, when you look at the Chicago Bears and you look at the Bears roster and you look at the turnover they've had at the coaching staff and et cetera, everything that's going on with Chicago and where they're at, their development, I think they're confused. I don't even, do they even know, are they rebuilding? But then you have a young quarterback, Justin Fields, and it's like, dang, how do we rebuild? But we have Justin Fields, and do we want to? I don't even think they know what direction they're going in right now. So do you strongly feel week 1 in Chicago, like you legitimately feel as a Bears fan, you're going to beat the 49ers? You really feel that way? Not trolling, not on some trolling stuff, not on some like being realistic. You really think that the Bears are going to beat the 49ers week 1? I got to know. I got to know. I mean, here we go. All right, Ern. But Ern, how you feel about 49ers Bears week 1?
What's up, Crock? Thanks for having me, man.
Of course.
I feel confident, man. I think Justin Fields doesn't have the tools or the support cast to really take on our depth and our talent. I feel very confident in that game. I do have a question for you.
Of course. Let's go.
Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it. I saw Trey Lance go out in the preseason game and he looked pretty good, looked really good, I thought. And then, we get reports about practice the next day and he's 4 for 14, I think. And I'm just curious because I don't know much about the process for an athlete, but do you feel like eventually the performance in practice should be matching what we're seeing on the game? Or some players just bad at practice? What do you think of Trey Lance having ups and downs in practice? And I'm not sure. I mean, it seemed like he looked good at the preseason. He didn't spend much time out there, but I'm just curious what you think of him coming out looking. I thought he looked pretty good in preseason, and then kind of sounds like he struggled in practice soon after. Does that mean?
Yeah. So here's the thing, and it's tough, right? I would suggest to not look at completions or incompletions from practice to gauge where he's at in his development. Okay. Because, the report I saw was, clearly I'm not there. I'm at my house here in Arkansas. 4 of 14, but he had 3 drops and 2 throwaways, right? Yeah. So you're talking about, 5 passes, right there that, potentially could have went the other way and could have been completions. Then we're talking about something totally different. Another thing, you don't know exactly what they're trying, et cetera. So it's hard for me, and I kind of stopped putting a lot of stock into some of the practice reports. I look at it just in the sense of, what were they trying to do? Mm-hmm. And, if he's just missing, it's like, oh man, he can't do this or he can't do that, then, okay, yeah, like that's an issue. But from the reports, that wasn't it. But it's tough because all you hear, when I played football at any level, high school, college, NFL, Arena League, at no time did we ever keep track of practice stats. That's kind of like a newer thing. Yeah. And practice for us was a time to work on things. And if something didn't go my way, then, okay, we take a step back. All right, okay, look, do it like this next time, et cetera, right? But nobody's keeping track of, Crock gave up 3 catches on 4 passes in practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're trying to work to get better. So it's tough for me to look at it from that lens. For me, it's just more so what does it look like from the quarterback as opposed to completions and incompletions. Because the first day he completed, the very first practice, 9 out of 11 passes. But then it's like, well, everything is short. Everything is a check down. So do you want, he completed 9 out of 11, but everything is a check down? Or do you want to see him trying different things and pushing the ball down the field, even though it might fall incomplete? See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's how I view it. And I think what we've seen from him so far in games gives me a little bit more confidence to be able to say that, because I don't think that it's a guy that's out there clueless.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, man. I appreciate you spending a few minutes with me.
Oh,
Appreciate
all
it.
good, bro. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
All right. All right, we're gonna get the Ghost of Judah tribe off of the screen now, but I appreciate him. I appreciate the contribution at $2. Thank you. You should set up a YouTube monthly membership thing. You know what, man? Swan Song. I've seen that, but to be honest, I don't really know. I don't know. Somebody help me set that up. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask my wife to help me or something. I've seen that on when I'm on other people's stuff, and it's like a highlighted. It's like a green or I don't know, right? It's something different a little bit. I gotta look into it. I appreciate the contribution though, for sure. Yeah. I just didn't know what Mahomes was until I saw him play in the second season. Yeah. You never listen with all of these guys. You truly, and even with Mahomes, because the training camp that Mahomes had, it like wasn't great at all. And talking to some of the guys that I do a podcast locked on NFL Draft, daily podcast with my guy Ryan Tracy. Ryan Tracy covers the Kansas City Chiefs, loves the Kansas City Chiefs, and he talked about really the first quarter of the season for Patrick Mahomes in that second year. It was kind of like up and down and kind of rocking. He threw like interceptable balls that were dropped, and like it wasn't like great. I mean, he went on to be league MVP that year, and was a D4 offsides away from going to a Super Bowl. So, the development for these guys is interesting, but if you're a playmaker, you can kind of overcome some of the things. I remember even going into, this was the third year for Patrick Mahomes, playing against San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. I remember watching film on them leading up just so I could talk about what I was seeing. And I'm like, is this guy a one-read quarterback? And what I mean by one-read, because everybody's kind of like, okay, I need to read one side of the field, etc. But for him, it was very clear post-snap, whatever he thought he saw pre-snap, if that wasn't there, like he'll stare that down and it's like, oh, okay, it's not there. I'm just going to move. He just get on the move and then look to make a play. And he has Tyreek Hill, who's hella fast, who is really difficult to guard down the field. He has Travis Kelce, who frees himself up off script better than damn near anyone in the league. So if his first read wasn't there, he wasn't really someone standing in the pocket like, oh, 1, 2, second read, 3, 4. Oh, there it goes. Boom, let me get the ball out. It was like one read, motherfucker, get open. You're not going to get open? All right, I'm just going to move. And he'd get on the move, and he'd just throw a bomb to Tyreek Hill or throw a pass to Travis Kelce, and it was really hard to defend. And he's had to continue to progress even from that. Here we go. We got my guy, Joseph Evans. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Eric? Thanks for getting me on. I was on earlier with the Forgotten Athlete, but the mic was messing up, man.
Oh, all good.
Hey, so I just wanted to ask you a question about the explosiveness of Kyle Shanahan's offense, right? So he is like pretty creative with his play calling ability, and I think this Niner offense is probably the most talent he's had on a roster since his time. Yeah. In San Francisco. I think they need someone to take place of like what Emmanuel Sanders did during the Super Bowl run, where he had those explosive touchdowns. In certain games, although I think he only had like 3 or 4 touchdowns that season, there was games that he had like explosive touchdowns. So do you think that they have someone in this offense, whether it be Jauan Jennings, whether it be Danny Gray, he looked good on Saturday. Do you think they have someone in this offense that can kind of take some explosives besides Debo, obviously?
I'm very curious to see what McCloud can bring. He's a guy who, when you look at his usage and, his yards per reception throughout his career, whether it was with Buffalo, whether it was with, Pittsburgh Steelers, and I know that was, part of that was Ben Roethlisberger late in his career. He couldn't really throw the ball downfield. But he's a guy who clearly has that type of ability to free himself up, whether it's underneath or down the field. So can he kind of be that guy to really help pull coverage? I think Danny Gray right now, as a receiver that's going to win on routes, just underneath right now, slants, comebacks, curls, I think that he needs work at that. But vertically being able to pull coverage, he can do that. And if you slip up on that, then clearly Trey Lance won't shy away from throwing the ball down the field. So if I had to guess, I'd say I'd be surprised if you don't see 3 40-yard touchdowns from Trey Lance to Danny Gray this year. So he can kind of help with some of that type of protection.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that. And I think to add on to that, I think they are. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about this, but I think that Kyle Shanahan's not going to try to use Debo as much as he used them last year. I mean, I think the biggest uses for him, I want to say, would be those screen passes this season, and him taking those for 20 plus, 15 plus yards. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be more of that, or could you see Trey Lance launching the ball deep to somebody?
I think there's going to be a good mix of everything. Trey Lance is definitely what he's shown in practice and what they've really put an emphasis of working on. He's trying to throw the ball down the field. The last caller talked about Trey Lance and kind of quote unquote struggles in practice, right? Like what he's trying, different things he's trying to do. And there was one practice recently where he went 11 of 19. But when you talk to the people that were there and they talk about what they saw there was in one period he threw 5 passes, like 40 plus yards, right? So clearly someone who he's trying to get that rhythm down and that connection downfield with guys. That won't just stop to only being something that they do in training camp. Like that'd be something that they're definitely going to try to do during the year. But as we saw them throw multiple screens in the game, Trey Lance threw a screen to, was it a running back? Yeah, Trey Sermon. I mean, those would be things that they do with Debo Samuel as well. And we know Debo, all he needs is the ball in his hands, and he makes special things happen. So, they're going to work all levels of the field, and I think that's one thing that fans can be really excited about when it comes to having Trey Lance at quarterback and what they'll be looking to do.
All right, cool. And just last question about Trey Sermon, just because there's been 50-50 good, 50-50 bad, about his camp this season. Fred Warner, Kyle Shanahan, they've been saying that he's been playing really well during training camp, and the game comes, he only gets 6 attempts, and obviously I've watched the game over again since Saturday because I was driving on the road Saturday night, so I didn't get to watch the full game, but watched it on Sunday, and a lot of the runs he's not really seeing the field too well, I don't think. And I don't know if it's his offensive line that he's working with, or if it's his, the ability to get reps in practice or in the game time. But what are your thoughts on, Trey Sermon and also the run game? Because I think Kyle Shanahan is going to, keep a lot of running backs on staff. So I think he's going to be able to stay. But what do you think,
Well, there were some cuts just now, and the 49ers waived Darquise Dennard, Josh Hokett, Keyshawn Johnson, and another guy. I don't think I've even heard of him. But no running backs waived. I think the 49ers, the running backs, that's the one position I don't worry about at all with the 49ers. I think, they'll figure out who's going to be the guy that's going to get the bulk of the carries. Obviously, you hope that it's Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell has to stay healthy. That's a big thing for him. But I like the way all the guys ran in the game. I mean, I felt like they had 4 guys, or in that game, I guess 4 guys too if you count 41, the last running back that got in, that a lot of people like. So 49ers, I don't worry about their running game at all. I don't worry about the running backs.
Gotcha. All right, man. I appreciate it, Eric.
All right, here we go. I got Gammon on, but before we get to Gammon, I love this. We got the Ghost of Judah on here. But before he comes on, I'll say as he comes on. Here we go. So Ghost of Judah, man, good morning. How you doing, bro?
Hey, good morning. How you doing, brother? You doing all right?
I'm good. Have you been on this show before?
I've never been on your show.
Okay, so before we get going here, I do want to say that I think that you can jump on someone else's platform, another team's platform, etc., and then people kind of attack or belittle somebody, and you don't know what you talk about, and they'd be super fans. I'm not like that at all. I really genuinely when I ask the question, because I'm curious, because I know the outside perception of the Chicago Bears and kind of where they're at right now. But I would love to hear kind of your thoughts on Chicago and things that y'all are looking forward to seeing, things that you feel like are, hey, man, we're really optimistic about this. We really feel like we work towards this. defense. We added this guy. I loved what I saw from Jauan Brisker in the preseason game. He's a guy I really liked out of Penn State.
Me
I know
too.
your corners weren't playing in that game. Your starting corners like Jalen Johnson and Vilder and some of those guys. So just in general, and I know you talked about, hey, 49ers, like, we're going to kick y'all butts week 1. First, I want to ask, like, where are you at with just Chicago and how they've built the team this offseason under the new general manager?
First of all, you're very I like your intellect. You speak well. You're very articulate, Mr. Crocker. And second of all, we did bring in a new regime with Coach Eberflus and Matt Poles as our GM. Eberflus was with the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis Colts always had a top 5 defense. Didn't ever have stars in their defense, but they always swarmed to the ball, less turnovers, and we have the hits philosophy. The hits philosophy means, going around tackling, hitting the person, and that's what it's all about. And you saw that we fly to the ball. We may not have like these top-notch players, but when week 1 comes, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. Trey Lance is going to feel it.
Hold on. Before we get to Trey Lance and the 49ers, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Jackson, the safety from Alabama, how's he been doing? Because he came in really hot, right? Getting a bunch of interceptions, scoring touchdowns defensively. And then it kind of feels like over the last couple of years, people have kind of cooled down on him. So before we get into the 49ers and Trey Lance, what are your thoughts on Jackson and kind of where he's at right now?
Thank you for asking me about Eddie Jackson, because he will return back to Pro Bowl form this year. You mentioned the one guy that I wanted to talk about, Jauan Brisker, the strong safety out of Penn State. And the reason why Eddie Jackson would go back to being Pro Bowl form, because now Jauan Brisker would play that strong safety part. He'll be in the box. He's a hard hitter. He's going to knock him out. And Eddie Jackson will go back to playing a free safety that he always had been playing. And he'll make interceptions. And I'm going to refer back to Trey Lance, because you 49er fans, by the end of the first quarter, you're going to be shouting in the crowd, oh, put back in Garoppolo, because this defense, I'm telling you, we don't have the name brand people, but we're going to swarm to the football. And it's always Justin Fields over Trey Lance. As far as our offense is concerned, love some of the weapons we brought in. We brought in a lot of speed. And that's going to help Justin Fields a lot. We'll stretch the field. We have a new offensive coordinator in Mark Gessie, and he brings some of the formats that Aaron Rodgers had at Green Bay. So we had Matt Nagy last year, who lost the whole damn team last year. That's why the team was in disarray. We did actually compete against you guys last year in that 49ers game. Justin Fields showed some promise that game too. We have a new running back in Treston Ebner. From the University of Baylor. He's a badass, and he's going to team up with David Montgomery, and that's going to be a great 1-2 punch. We're not scared. Look, we're not scared of you 49ers fans. I don't know why you got CJ Gray, 49ers game 916, Tyler Miller, Schmidt Juice. We're not scared. I'm going to come on his show and talk. Don't think that I'm like some Don Turner.
I like that because, hey, look.
I'm coming on this show and I'm going to talk.
Hey.
I'll support my Bears, and we going to get y'all ass, and y'all going to be wishing you left Garoppolo in that first game.
I love that because a lot of times we do have people come on here and they say some, random stuff. And my thing is like, man, I just want somebody to come on and hear your response. Like, I don't want to attack or anything like that. But I like the thought. I like the fact that you came on here and you stood on that. Like everything that you said in the chat, you come on here and you talk that. I like that. How confident are you? Because this is going to be a big factor in the game week 1. I'm assuming, again, we'll continue to see kind of where the 49ers are. And where, some of the strengths and weaknesses of this team are. We have an idea of what it is because the 49ers are kind of built on a certain philosophy. But the Chicago Bears offensive line was something that was lacking last year. And we saw that. And I thought that was something that really hurt Justin Fields in his development. Maybe him having to resort to being more of a playmaker and not someone who really, because I think everybody looks at Justin Fields and his dynamic ability, right? He's a guy who ran in the 4.4s. He has a big arm. He does all these things. But he wasn't a runner like that in college. Like, he's somebody who wants to play from the pocket first. But when you have an offensive line that continues to let you down, that starts to kind of speed up your clock. So I want to ask you, what have they done to really help him kind of slow that clock down and kind of really be able to sit back there and throw passes? Have they improved on the offensive line?
That's a fair assessment of our offensive line. I will grant you that. Now, granted, we did bring in some veterans to help out for our offensive line. Just the past 2 or 3 weeks, we brought in some veterans. We have the center from the Green Bay Packers, Lucas Patrick, who came in. He was injured, but he'll be back. He'll be ready for week 1. We have Tevin Jenkins, who's going to be probably anchoring the right-hand side. We Michael Schofield from the I think he's from the Chargers. I forgot. And we also have a rookie, Braxton Jones, that we're really high up on right now. He's going up against Robert Quinn every day in practice, and Robert Quinn had 18.5 sacks last year. So, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable with this line as opposed to last year, because yes, the line was horrific last year. But you're right, and that's a good point to bring up. But we'll be more than prepared for you guys week 1. We look forward to the challenge with Kittle. We look forward to the challenge with Debo. We look forward to the challenge against.
So what's your last year? Debo kind of single-handedly worked y'all a little bit.
We remember that game. This is a total different defense. We're running a different scheme. We ready for Debo Samuels, man. Let me tell you, we are ready for Debo Samuels. We're going to crush Debo Samuels. And if you're a sports gambling, sports betting guy, if you're on fantasy football, I wouldn't put any money on Debo Samuels week 1, because we're going to destroy Debo Samuels. And Kittle ain't getting a doggone thing. How come you guys ain't typing right now? How come you guys ain't typing? Y'all ain't typing no more. Where y'all at? This is the Ghost of Judah tribe. I told you, I'm not Don Turd. I'm not anybody. I am the Ghost of Judah tribe. Look, when a Bears fan come on this channel, all you guys in the chat, you better understand that the Chicago Bears is the charter franchise of the NFL. Without the Chicago Bears, you wouldn't be rooting for no doggone San Francisco 49ers. There wouldn't be any Cowboys. There wouldn't be any Chiefs. If it wasn't for us and George Hallis, you wouldn't be rooting for your colors right now. So when a Bears fan come on here, y'all better bow y'all knee, beat your damn head, and be like, "Thank you, George Papa."
Okay,
Bear
hold on.
Thank you very much, Papa Bear Hallis, for making the NFL for what it is.
Hold on. Here's what I gotta do now. All right, I gotta bring my guy Gammon on, and just so it's not just me asking questions, I will say this: you kind of just casually threw out there, not even casually, I'd say more aggressively threw out there that y'all just gonna shut down Debo. I don't, and I'm not acting like Debo is just the most amazing thing ever, but how he beat y'all last year, what I'm saying, put the 49ers in position by himself. An 80-yard screen he took, like on 3rd and 20. He does some things that's really he's just hard to stop. So maybe y'all can take away other people. It's extremely difficult to take away Debo Samuel. Caught a bomb on y'all. I probably wouldn't go that far, but I do want to hear my guy Gammon's perspective. So Gammon, I'm gonna bring you on. You've been backstage. You've been listening to what our guy, the Ghost of Judah, has had to say. And what are some of your responses? Because I think Gammon comes on pretty much anytime we go live. And I think he has a really good football mind as well. So Gammon, what are some of your thoughts and what's your response to what he had to say?
First of all, thank you for calling in. I love it. What you're doing right now, I've been trying to actually do for the last 2 months on other platforms and other streamers of other teams, but they're very, very sensitive and they don't really seem to allow us in the chat. It's a quick ban or a toss or allowed to talk to them. So Crock, thank you so much for this opportunity. Hey, brother, I know kind of how you're feeling. So the 49ers in 2018, we lost a crazy amount of games that were just by 3 points or less. And so we had a lot of, I forget what this one guy's name is, but he's kind of a running joke because in 2019, he was saying that the 49ers were going to finish with a 3-13 season. And we were just, I was just puzzled because I was like, man, we lost so many games by just 2 or 3 points less. Lo and behold, that was the year that we went to the playoffs. Some of the things that I was kind of looking at, right, when it comes down to your offensive line is that I think you guys are kind of needing to gel. And that's something that I'm looking at with the 49ers offensive line. So whenever I'm looking opposing defensive lines, because you're right, our offensive line, if you want to say as far as Trey Lance not having a lot of time to throw and is going to be running for his life, the strength of our offensive line is that, we're more of a running team. So our top 2 tackles in McGlinchey and also 2 in Trent Williams. If you look back, right, and you go through their PFF, you're going to see that they both were the top 2, anywhere from the number 1 to number 3 tackles as far as run blocking in the NFL for the last like four seasons. So we're primarily a running game. As far as taking Deebo Samuels away, I guess you can. I would like this like a chess piece. I'd allow you to do that, but we've had so many teams, and you probably have had so many other teams of fans that things that frustrate you, right? Where they say like, hey, we're going to do this or we're going to do that. If I had a nickel for every single time a team, the Cowboys, I don't know if you've had to deal with much experience with their fan base. Good Lord Almighty. Like that is like toxic. But every single team has said how they're going to shut down Deebo Samuel, and it doesn't happen because I think that what they do is they devalue our play caller, Kyle Shanahan. And Kyle Shanahan is one of the best in the league at scripting players open, scripting easy plays for the quarterback, scripting easy plays for Deebo Samuel. The fact is that we can just hand off the ball to him, and then we're going to go from there. But that's our strength. But the one thing I did want to ask you is your center position. So the 49ers center position is not that. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not that great. Jake Brendel did, I thought, a tremendous job this last game. He picked up 2 key blocks on a long 70-yard touchdown from Trey Lance to Gray. But I know that your center has a thumb injury. What do you think that's going to do for your team, for an offensive line kind of coming together and gelling and being ready for 49ers defensive line?
I think the ghost of Judy, he's typing right now to the people in the chat.
Get him.
Oh, what are you saying? Hey, what are you saying?
Okay, so to sum it up real quickly. So for the 49ers, one of our big concerns is the center position, right? And so we're kind of nervous about that. And if you ever really wanted to get into some of these 49ers fans in the chat, just let them know like, hey, you guys don't have a center, and I don't know who your nose tackle is or whoever, but just kind of get them after with that. But I know that your center has like thumb surgery or something of that nature. And we have a lot of young guys on our offensive line. And I've said this to all of my guys on my side, right? All the viewers and listeners on the 49ers side, is that I think that it's going to take week 8 for the 49ers offense to get together and be rolling, because our offensive line needs time to gel. When I was rewatching your guys' football game, because I've been watching all the first 4 teams that we play in the regular season. I've been watching their preseason games. When I was watching your guys' game, I noticed that it looked like your guys' offensive line it looks like it's going to take a little time to gel. Plus, you guys don't have your starting center. Do you guys, on your end, out of all fairness, have any concerns or anything like that of that nature with your offensive line?
We have no concerns. What was your name again, bro?
Gammon.
We have no concerns, Gammon. We have no concerns on this offensive line. Come week 1, they're going to all be healthy. They'll all be together. Obviously, you're right about the cohesiveness, us playing together. But we have no concerns. We can beat. And far as the 49ers center, yeah, we have Kyrus Tonga, and we also have what's his name? Justin Jones from the Chargers. So we are going to freaking blast your center, man. We are going to be getting to Trey Lance so much. We're going to put so much pressure on Trey Lance. Just like yesterday, we had our scrubs in there. We didn't even have our defensive front in there. And I heard in the interview that what's the Chiefs quarterback name? Patrick Mahomes said he was getting hit a little bit too much that game. So we're not concerned. We're not concerned about – we're only concerned about what the Chicago Bears are about to do, and we're about to shock everybody. This ain't the 49ers playoff run from last year. This ain't that team. This is a whole new quarterback, and we're ready, and we're up to the challenge to compete.
So you're not worried about your offensive line. So for the 49ers offensive line, the strength of our offensive line is going to be the run game, not the pass game. Last year, we drafted Elijah Mitchell at running back. But I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be 100% honest. and this might piss off some 49ers fans, but it's the truth. Khalil Herbert, right, was the guy that you guys drafted last season?
Yes.
I like him.
I'm so, and 49ers fans, they sometimes, and I think all fans do, we kind of have remissive kind of like history when we think about it. But I honestly thought that if Khalil Herbert would have been drafted on the 49ers, he would have had a better season than Elijah Mitchell. I think that guy is a dog. What have the reports been coming out with him in camp? And then is he your number one running back? I just thought the way that he was running last year, he was insanely hard to bring down. 49ers fans, if you go back and rewatch the tape, you'll notice that we had a really tough time. Like it takes more than one guy to bring down their running back room. But what can you say about my former draft crutch, Khalil Herbert?
Well, that session is safe because I got to go back and look at the film. But if Khalil Herbert was running on y'all like that, wait till you see what David Montgomery does. David Montgomery is our starting running back. It's David Montgomery, and he is an absolute animal when he runs the football. So we got a three-headed monster right now. We got David Montgomery, we got Khalil Herbert, and we got this awesome running back for the University of Baylor, Treston Ebner, who's going to be an absolute beast. He can catch out the backfield. He'll be more than a third down running back. He'll give David Montgomery a breather. But I have no concerns about our running backs. Our running backs they're going to shock a lot of people, man. And if you're smart, you'll get one of these running backs on your fantasy team. I know you 49er fans try to intimidate or whatever. Look, we're not intimidated. And you coming to Chi-Town to play, we're not intimidated by y'all, man. Come on down. I cannot wait till week 1. Come on down, baby. Come on down to Chi-Town. It's going to be on, man. Get you a deep dish pizza while you're here, by the way.
And I'm not going to lie. Bears are trash. Like, I just got to.
Who said this?
They're trash. The Bears are trash. Like,
there we go. Okay, let's bring it on now. No. There it is.
Hey,
there it is.
I hear you, though. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I get that. Hey, I get that. Okay, that's it. I just wanted the true you to come out because when week 1 comes, I don't know if you do live streams, but I'm going to be right in there telling you, I told you so. I told you so. And that's
all right. You coming on week 1?
That's what it's going to be like, bro. That's what it's going to be like because we are the Charter franchise. We have a huge history, and we got a really good team this year. And we're just under the radar right now. And we're catching y'all at the right time. Week 1, Trey Lance, week 1, we catch you at the right time. I promise you. You're going to be shocked what happens.
All right, hold on real quick. Somebody got a super chat for you. Hold on. So we got Raphael here, and he says, if you can't be logical or realistic, you shouldn't be getting time in our podcast. He's definitely delusional. Okay, that wasn't for you. I think that was for me. But I don't think that he – I think you are a fan of the Bears, and
I am the fan of the Bears. Of the Bears.
Yeah, okay, that's very clear. You are the fan of the Bears.
That's right.
And I'm not going. The Bears are trash, but
listen,
anything can happen on any given Sunday.
Crocker. So. Eric Crocker, listen here. We're gonna wipe that little smirk. We're gonna wipe that smirk off that little smirk off on your face. Right. We're gonna wipe
my bad, man. My bad.
Off your face, man. I promise you. And all these little typers over here in the chat, you ain't gonna be typing once the third.
Are you gonna be at the game?
You're gonna be beating y'all tail.
Are you gonna be at the game?
I might actually go to this game. I know I'm going to the Lions game, but I don't know about the 49ers. I wish I did.
I'll be at the game. You talked about the deep dish pizza. Hopefully you can take me because I'm going to fly in on Friday, man. So if you're trying to link up, man, we can link up. We can go get some pizza. It's on me. You know what I'm saying? The pizza's on me. I got to meet you in person, man. You're a cool dude. Y'all still trash. But I got to meet you in person because you're a cool dude.
No problem,
so, all right,
bro.
Remember, subscribe. You let me know. You on Twitter? You on Instagram? You on any of those?
I try to stay off most social media. You know, I got you pretty much just YouTube and Facebook. I don't try to get on social media too much.
All right. Well, I just got to make sure that we get you back on here, just so that we could talk. And I would love to know, like, just kind of where the Bears are at that time. How you feeling about the game? And again, like, we got to link up because I'm gonna be out there week 1. So I appreciate you coming on though, bro, for real.
Hey, thanks for having me, Eric Crocker. And hey, what's your name again, big dog? I keep forgetting it.
Woof, but it's Gammon. When you call me big dog, I had to bark in response. Like
Okay. And thank you, Gammon. Hey, look, I don't know what you 49ers fans were expecting when y'all was in here chatting, talking about get on, because you don't know who you're talking to. Yes, I'm going to get on. Yes, I'm going to rep my team, and you're going to see week 1 just what's going to happen. I'll be right back in here chatting at y'all, talking trash to y'all, because week 1, you're going to see what the Chicago Bears is all about. All right. Thanks for having me on your show, Eric, and you guys have a good day.
All right, bro. Appreciate it.
All right.
Oh, man. That was fun. I've been waiting for somebody to come on, and not for me to kind of push my views on the 49ers, on the person or whatever. And I was listening, y'all, and I'm listening. I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? I hear you. You know what I'm saying? Sounds good. You feel me? But at some point, it's like, all right, come on, we got to call a spade a spade.
Hey, I like it though. I mean, he's a true fan in and out. He's got not just, you can tell just from his voice, not just team pride, but city pride. I personally, the guy wouldn't be over, but I agree with you, and I don't think his team's got much of a chance. The only thing I will agree with them on is that yes, if there was ever a time, if you want to say, hey, what are the chances of any team, a good quality team that will make a deep playoff run that can be beat, it is week 1, right? So 49ers fans, if they Bears beat us, they do beat us, and it is week 1, I'm going to call it what it is, and not no disrespect to him and his team, but I would just call it a fluke. It was kind of like last season when the Packers got paddled horribly. And everybody was like, what the heck's going on? And Aaron Rodgers was like, I don't know. I don't really care. That's just the week 1 has the weirdest games because teams aren't gelled. They're not in tune yet. So he's right. I mean, if there was ever a chance to do that, it'd be that. I'm
glad. Lake City Fresh asked if you barked. You did bark. Huh?
I did.
I thought I heard it, but I thought I didn't know where. I didn't know if it was from outside or what. I'm like, where'd that come from just now? But yeah.
Yeah, I admire his passion. I think that our defensive line, what we're going to have a problem with is stopping the run. I think that our defense is going to be the most terrifying defense out the gate, like during 3rd and long situations. We're a team where you don't want to see us, but I think that we're a little light up front, Croc. If I'm being honest, I think that teams can get kind of a little bit more of a push on our team. We do have a very, very deep team, but it's a very NASCAR light team. We don't have a lot of weight on there. And it's
very Pac-12-ish.
Yeah, and that was the thing that when I was looking at Jauan Kinlaw, and I was like, did he lose all this weight to be more explosive to go after those sacks? Or did he lose all that weight basically because he needs to keep that weight off of his hips and his joints on his knees, everything else, right? Maybe he was just carrying on too much weight to kind of keep that going. And then let's see here. What was the other thing? Yeah, I was really proud of Jake Brendel. I don't know if a lot of people missed that, but on that big touchdown throw that Trey Lance had, Jake Brendel picked up 2 blockers, and it's just something that not a lot of people saw, and I thought that was great. Whereas on the flip side, kind of in the 4th round or 4th quarter, you saw Sutherland. He let a blocker kind of go, defender kind of go through. So I'm seeing some predictions. Bears 28, or I don't even know. Winers 17 or what?
40 Winers.
40 Winers 17. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Like if the Bears do win, I don't see it. I see it being like a 20-17 route. Like the offense for the 49ers would have to be put themselves in really bad, poor, precarious situations, a lot of holding, like things that you'd expect, like, hey, week 1, but the 49ers are still kind of playing it like a preseason game. I don't see them losing, the 49ers losing. I think you're kind of overestimating. I don't know. I haven't looked at the training camp reports, and I was hoping that this preseason game I'd get a chance to see it. But I'm not putting a whole lot of thought or care into N'Keal Harry and Dante Pettis. And I think that you're going to need both of those guys to have big games.
I meant to ask him about that receiver core, and I think N'Keal Harry, there's something going on with him right now, like kind of hurt or something like that, I think, or there's something going on with N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, so that that was going to kind of be my two questions with him was going to be for him and his team to have any sort of chance, it's going to have to be his offensive line and his wide receivers, and I don't have a lot of faith for, and this is me being fair, right? Because we can't say like, hey, we're going to win at every single position, every single group. I don't think that if we're doing that, then we're.
Oh, shoot. Jimmy Ward could miss the season. Oh, season opener. My bad. I didn't see the opener part. Okay. I knew he could miss the season opener. I thought you just said Jimmy Ward could miss the season. I'm like, oh, hell no. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. But I try to be fair when I talk to other fans, because that's something that, I do a lot as I do talk to other fans. There's things where I try to do the give and take. I try to kind of give them some ways out. But he is a fan in every sense of the word. He's fanatical, which I do love. But I do see Justin Fields throwing he's going to throw some interceptions. Justin Fields is going to be in a position. And then there's another thing too, Ghost, that I want you to kind of take a look at and think about. Our team does a really, really, really good job of dominating time of possession. I don't know very much about your special teams. Something that doesn't get talked about too here on our channels is that our special teams, our field position last year for this team was, I don't want to say like, it was atrocious. I'll just call it like how it was. It was bad. It was bad. Our special teams unit, as far as where we would pin the opposing team, special teams, and their offensive unit during kickoffs, punts, vice versa. We were not a very good punt return, kick return unit at all. With that, and somebody looked it up. I want to say it was like Javi from he used to be on Niners Nation, but I had
Javi Vega.
Yeah, I had him look it up for me, and he did. He verified kind of what my eyes were seeing, and he was like, yeah, we were like one of the top or one of the bottom 5 teams, maybe even less than that, as far as the field position battle goes. Well, I see a complete inverse of that. I don't know where the Bears were last year as far as that field position battle goes. But if you guys are constantly starting off in poor field position and we're starting off in great field position, I really don't think that that's going to be conducive for Fields. I think Fields could have a good first quarter, but after both teams kind of settle in and then we kind of recognize and dial in on your game plan, like Crock said, I'm not going to go so far as to say your guys' team is trash. I'm not going to say I disagree with that statement either, but I don't like to do that to opposing fans because I know what that feels like. But I don't. At the same token, I'd be lying if I kind of gave you guys a chance, especially when you say that you have a starting, a rookie starting left tackle going up against Bosa or just our depth. The thing is like when I look at our 2019 defensive line, I think the book was out on us. Like, hey, just wait until the fourth quarter. Our defensive line, they'll run out of gas, right? And then that's when your team will have a chance to climb back into the game. While our defensive line unit isn't as special as our 2019 unit, the difference is that we have, like, in hockey, you see them, they call them like lines, right? So line 1, line 2, line 3, and you'll see them where they just change out an entire line, put in a fresh line there, and so they attack you in waves. Well, that's what I kind of see with this defensive line. Whereas in like the fourth quarter, be like, okay, we're wearing down Jimmy Garoppolo. We need a big 2 minutes from you. Our defensive line is instead, if we played you tough in the first quarter, we're gonna have the same level of energy in the second quarter. Looks like you got a super chat there. Can I read this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So Archie McReed, I don't think I've seen you around here too much.
I know. I'm not familiar with that name.
Yeah.
Shout out to Archie McReed.
Shout out, brother. I shouldn't be overly confident. McReed. Yeah, I'd like that. Diamo. I know I shouldn't be overly confident, but I just can't see the Bears beating us week 1. We're just a better team from top to bottom. Much love, Crock. And that's kind of what I'm saying here is that, like, I don't know if I would have gotten a very realistic answer from him either, but I wanted to kind of see where he was at for 3 phases. I would have given him some of those benefits of the doubt. But again, guys, and you guys are going to see this ramp up. You'll see this probably be talked about too and discussed on Locked On 49ers. But if there's ever a week to where, you know, a fluky games happen week 1, right? Like it was it 2020 or the 2020 season when we had all those injuries. It you know, when we were going up against the Cardinals, we saw Bosa go down. We saw like, you know, like that game, we saw like 5 of our players go down. So you just don't know with week 1. But I agree, like all phases of the game, all of our units, I do think that it should be a handed butt kicking. If I had to put like a prediction on the score, I think it's going to be for us. I think it's going to be pretty bad. I think we're probably going to have like 32 to 17. I'm going to give them the 17 points. But my thing is this, Croc, is that I think with the field position, that's what I was trying to set this up with. I think with just the field position that we get from special teams that we didn't have last year, and I know that Fields is going to have a better second year. I think he's going to be chasing a lot of green in front of him, and that's going to lead to the Bears having mistakes. I just don't see Fields chunking us down like that.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people that are kind of logically thinking would assume this game would kind of go south a little bit for Chicago. But again, anything can happen. Maybe the Bears come out and they are much improved, and their offensive line just starts to dominate. I'd say even watching the Bears in the preseason game, I don't know if they have their starting offensive line. I don't think Montgomery played, but it didn't look great. And I would assume that those are their weapons, right? Like Mooney is their best receiver. He caught a ball downfield. That was terrific. There was another terrific pass on the right sideline from their quarterback. But it looked so difficult. Everything just looked so difficult for them and their offense. And we'll see if they can continue to kind of, come along and get on the same page and build some type of cohesiveness and do that by week 1 when you have to go against the 49ers, who one of the biggest things that I sell with the 49ers is this, and I was on the radio talking about this yesterday, 95.7 The Game. The 49ers are extremely well coached on both sides of the ball. So on top of being well coached on both sides of the ball, you have to deal with a very talented roster, one of the most talented rosters in the league. The biggest question mark for this team and why they're not even considered just a Super Bowl lock is, well, they got a quarterback getting his first start ever, right? And he has areas where he needs to, continue to grow and improve. Not first start, but like starting season, right? Like he's the quarterback, starting quarterback heading into the season. So aside from that, if you look at this team, they're pretty loaded top to bottom. They got pass catchers. They got running backs. They're building the offensive line. And if Spencer Burford continues to play strong, like the O-line is going to be solid. Like D-line is loaded, and they have a bunch of depth. And Nick Bosa kind of leads that. You got at the next level, like Fred Warner. The corners on the outside, the corners are much improved. Like it's just loaded, and they're going to be extremely well coached. And it's just going to continue to be a very difficult team to beat, especially for a young Bears team who's trying to find their way with a new coaching staff. So I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Chicago. They need things to go their way, like blocked punt, interception return for a touchdown, a fumble by the 49ers. If those things happen, then Bears can win. But if the 49ers play solid football with this roster and coaching staff, it's going to be extremely difficult for the Chicago Bears to win.
Absolutely. And I want to kind of touch back on the coaching. I think that the coaching, so we had a massive exodus so all the coordinators, and we're talking about the position coaches. We had a mass exodus this year, and new ones kind of come in, right? So no longer McDaniel, right? Even our wide receiver coach, Wes Welker, I thought that he did a tremendous job with our wide receivers. But that's the only reason why I say like the Bears might have a chance is because last year they only had a week to prepare. Right now, right, they've got like 4 or 5, 6 weeks where they're getting ready. They're installing. They're going to give us their best punch. But another thing too is it took this young, when this 49ers team was young, right? And we're talking about the first 2 seasons that Kyle Shanahan took over coaching. It takes a team a while to learn how to win together, right? And that's something that you kind of grow into and that you learn. And that too is another thing. That's something that happens. That's more than just X's and O's. That's not just something that you see on the field. We talk about the 3 phases, right? We talk about the offense, defense, special teams. Well, then what about that? What about that other phase, right? That veterancy, just knowing it, being there, doing that, and then being able to. Here's the other thing too is this 49ers team has just seen so much adversity. And we're not trying to be overly confident or cocky. I try to. The one thing I do think about when I do, because every day I go to about 2 or 3 other platforms, just in the chats, and I try to talk to other teams and sometimes even who they have that's streaming their version of their Eric Crocker. And I'm not trying to, I don't know, maybe there's no nice way of saying this, but I feel like a lot of the streamers that we have on the 49ers side are actually sensible, would be the word that I would use. And for us as 49ers fans, we know that we could be beat. Like, we have that in our thought. I was just listening to Peter Bukowski to see how his feelings, because he's on Locked On Packers, just see his feelings and then his interpretation of how his team's loss was to the Packers, and then just what did he see on the field differently. And again, I just felt like it was just a very random, weird kind of disconnect. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Packers again. Crock, I'm not.
Yeah.
That is, gosh, I hope you have the most emotional maturity I think I've seen out of like a lot of shout out to a couple of the podcasters, but that cover the 49ers. But you really do have like a really good emotional maturity. I'm like, oh man, I'd be like seething there. But yeah, it doesn't look like much has changed, I think, in Peter's mind.
Yeah, you remember that lot? You remember when he was on that whole thing?
Oh my goodness, that was what we're doing right now, where you were able to bring me on. I'm telling you, like back then, my blood was boiling. I think I just would have been stuttering with just like how can you not see that we actually have a chance to like? He wasn't even saying like you guys are trash, you guys have no chance. It was the awking and the gawking of like how dare you?
Yeah,
like it was just like
I let him have it though after the game. After the game, I mean the tweets were flowing. Yeah. I had screenshot a picture of his facial expression and like talked about it. So because a lot of 49er fans, they get upset when they see that, and it's like, how y'all let him come on here and like act like that, and it's like, no, 49ers will handle it, and we got them good on the way back. But Gammon, I appreciate you coming on, man. I'm gonna get you off now. All right, shout out to my guy Gammon coming in on the show. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. While we've been live, something happened. The San Francisco 49ers, they released a few players, including Dennard, and he's been the starting nickel cornerback for the 49ers. So what does that mean? I think it's very clear what that means. And a couple weeks ago, we had Tracy Sandler on here. She's a beat writer for the 49ers, also covers the 49ers for 49er Fangirl. And she said, I think Samuel Womack is going to be the starting nickel for the 49ers. And we haven't really heard that. Obviously, we knew that there was a chance, but Tracy Sandler came on here and was pretty confident with that prediction. And I'm like, man, I haven't seen him yet, et cetera, and hadn't been getting like a lot of first-team snaps. Well, damn it, I think Tracy Sandler was right, because Dennard got cut today, and I'd assume that means that Samuel Womack, rookie out of Toledo, a guy who had 2 interceptions against the Green Bay Packers, the 49ers want to give him every opportunity to continue to grow, to continue to have his ups and downs, but be able to coach him up without the thought of trying to get this veteran playing time and whatnot. And maybe down the line, if they need to bring the veteran back, they will. But right now, it is Samuel Womack's job. He is now your starting corner. I'd assume your starting nickel cornerback for your San Francisco 49ers. So big-time playmaking ability. Sticky man coverage skills. He's a guy who could run. The 49ers previously had Jauan Williams, who had been honing it down for the previous few years, really since this regime kind of showed up. And when you look at Samuel Womack, one thing that he really brings that I'm excited about, on top of kind of the man coverage skills, but the ability out of the nickel to be able to run with vertically pushing routes. And that was one thing I felt like the 49ers kind of had to mask when it came to Kyle well, I'm going to say Kyle Williams. Shark. I'll just call him Shark right now. All right. K'Wan Williams. All right. K'Wan Williams, tremendous underneath. 8 yards and in. I don't know if there's a better nickel cornerback in the league. But when it comes to, tackling, his ability to blitz, timely blitzes, knocking the ball out of quarterback's hands, I think K'Wan Williams did a terrific job of doing that and consistently. And those are areas where maybe Samuel Womack needs to grow so he could be a little bit more like Shark. But where he's really we're gonna see the benefit of it is when the 49ers want to play more single high and maybe not have to sit in too high. They have a guy who can run with their vertically pushing routes, and we've seen the playmaking ability. Those plays that he made in that preseason game, albeit against another rookie, he went and got it. He made the plays. He got the interceptions. Like he did that using his ability, understanding of routes, concepts, feels, playmaking ability, all that. Like, that was awesome. And you'd hope that you continue to see that. But I think the next step in his growth is having him in there with the ones, building that continuity with the linebackers and the outside cornerbacks and his safeties, understanding what everybody's looking for from him, and them continuing to add a little bit more to his play. So that was exciting. I was curious to see if they would start to kind of ease him in there and make it a little bit even more of a battle. But clearly the 49ers, with the decision to release Dennis, they have let us know, oh yeah, we're riding with the Rook out of Toledo. And it's not the first time Kyle Shanahan has done that, or at least a Kyle Shanahan coach team, even if he wasn't the head coach. This happened with him in Atlanta, where they had a rookie playing in the nickel. They had a rookie, K'Wan Williams, in Cleveland. And now you have a rookie with the 49ers in Samuel Womack, potentially starting at the nickel spot for your San Francisco 49ers. So exciting to see a player like that with so much potential, grit, and understanding what the task is at hand. Shout out to him. I appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. A couple things I kind of wanted to get to before we get out of here. This has definitely been a longer show, almost 2 hours long, and now my daughter's riding around here saying, Daddy, I need to go eat some food, so got to make her lunch. Real quick, Ricardo Garcia. Crock, what did you see from the offensive line? Then when I went back and watched the offensive line, one thing that clearly stood out to me was, man, Spencer Burford, he looks like he's up for the task. Now, how will he do if that's Kenny Clark on the other side instead of whoever Green Bay had lined up there? But overall, right now, I think he's doing what you would hope. And when he's out there, looks good. Can he continue that even against better competition? I think this week's challenge in practice will be really big for him. Just going up against the Minnesota Vikings and their defensive line. I can't wait to hear all the reports. I'm trying to go, y'all. I'm trying to go to Minnesota, trying to work it out with my wife and see what her work schedule is. But right now, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to go because of her work schedule. Wish I would, so I can be there and report for y'all live. But overall, that's going to be a big challenge for him. So offensive line as a whole, we'll see. But right now, I am more focused on really Spencer Burford, Aaron Banks, and what their development is. All right, got another one here, and we'll probably end on this. My mama, she says, congratulations on your new gym, Frontline Sports, son. Appreciate it, mama. And the gym is pretty much done. They might be out there right now installing our glass double doors that you enter through. The turf is all laid down. They got to go through, do some painting in my offices and whatnot. But really exciting, man, to see the process. A lot of y'all who have listened to me over the last year have heard me talk a lot about my gym that's being built and being able to see it from the ground up and everything that goes into it. It has been awesome. I appreciate all the support for Frontline Sports, and not just Frontline Sports Media, but Frontline Sports Performance as well. I will have new hats soon. I will be getting hats with 49er themed red and gold, so maybe I'll get on those probably next week and try to have that out to y'all. Somebody won a gift giveaway, my guy, so I got to send those out this week as well. A lot going on right here. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you at this same time tomorrow. Same time, same place, right here. Eric Crocker, YouTube channel. I'm out. Peace.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Crocker. Over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crock Talk TV podcast. Peace.